There was a time when being openly queer in New Zealand meant creating your own spaces. Long before drag became mainstream, before RuPaul's Drag Race, and before hens parties lined up outside cabaret venues, our communities built places where everyone could belong. One of those pioneers was Carmen Rupe. When Carmen opened Carmen's International Coffee Lounge in Wellington in 1967, she wasn't simply opening a cafe, she created a refuge, a place where queer people, transgender people, artists, musicians, and anyone who felt different could gather without judgment. It became one of the most famous meeting places in New Zealand and proved that our communities could build some successful businesses while changing culture at the same time. So nearly 30 years later, the same spirit found a new home on Auckland's Karangahape Road. Caluzzi didn't begin as a drag restaurant. It was simply a cafe. Working there were two unforgettable personalities. The chef was Felicia Pergette. The waitress was Courtney Cartier. After finishing work each day, the pair would disappear upstairs and transform themselves into glamorous drag queens and head out for a night on K Road. One evening, customers saw them in full drag and asked them to perform. That one performance changed everything. What began as an experiment quickly became the most popular part of the business. People weren't just coming for dinner anymore. They were coming for Felicia. They were coming for Courtney. Eventually, the drag shows became so successful that the cafe evolved into what we now know as Caluzzi Drag Cabaret, opening in 1996 and becoming New Zealand's longest-running drag theatre. Sadly, Courtney passed away from AIDS-related illness. Her impact, however, never disappeared. To honour her memory, the Courtney Cartier Foundation was established, raising money and awareness for people living with HIV/AIDS, while keeping her legacy alive within our community. Courtney's portrait still watches over Caluzzi today, reminding every performer where this extraordinary story began. I knew Felicia personally. When I was 19, we shared a house together in Mount Eden. Back then, she was incredibly quiet, gentle, reserved. 12 years later, I returned to Auckland and walked into Caluzzi. Standing in front of me wasn't the shy person I lived with. It was Felicia. Confident, fearless, courageous, larger than life. I honestly couldn't believe the transformation. It reminded me that drag doesn't just entertain people. Sometimes it gives people permission to become the person they've always been. Felicia would later leave Caluzzi to create Finale Cabaret, another hugely successful drag dining venue on Karangahape Road, helping shape an entire generation of Auckland nightlife. Today, Caluzzi has become an Auckland institution. It has welcomed hundreds of thousands of guests through its doors. Hens nights, birthdays, corporate functions, tourists from around the world. People arrive expecting a fun night out. Many leave having experienced drag performers for the very first time. The business has continued to evolve through different owners, and today it is proudly run by Kitamine and Anita Wiglet, who have carried its legacy into a new generation while preserving the heart that Felicia and Courtney created nearly 30 years ago. You know, what I love the most about Caluzzi isn't just the sequins or comedy, it's the history. A reminder that some of our New Zealand's most successful hospitality businesses were imagined, built, made famous by our queer community, just like Carmen before them. They didn't wait for someone else to create space. They created it themselves. And because they did, thousands of people have laughed, celebrated, found community, and discovered that drag isn't just entertainment. It's history, it's resilience, and it's a proud part of Aotearoa.